we had many recommendations that came out. And so what we're going to do is we have to review the recommendations, and then we need to determine whether we are going to incorporate them into our, we have a C grant, school improvement grant. So we need to determine whether it's appropriate or not appropriate at this time. And we have to give rationale as to why, okay? And so I felt like we needed to review what our SIG goals were. The first goal is ensuring that we have high quality, standard-based, relevant curriculum and instruction by implementing EL education with fidelity and rigor for grades K through 6. The second one is strengthening the school's systemic use of assessments for learning in ways that target instruction and intervention to promote student growth and mastery of the Common Core learning standards. And then our third goal was revitalize school climate through the school-wide system of our Cooper Code, bringing character and leadership to life by launching a school-wide focus on restorative practice. So I'm going to pull this down, but we can always bring it back up if we forget, okay? So the first one that we're going to focus on is the high quality curriculum and instruction through EL, okay? So, right here on the left side, thank you, is the recommendations that were provided. So the first one is keep consistent curriculum, too much change. And so we were having a conversation about some of the feedback that was given. Some of them are just statements, some of them are recommendations, but we have to put everything down on the form, and then we determine whether or not they're going to be incorporated or not. So I don't want to be the only one up here talking, so please make sure that you guys are. So if we were thinking about our EL curriculum, and they say keep consistent curriculum, what is everyone's thought? That we just continue with EL, or?
I know for K through 2, I've heard an overwhelming response that a lot of people like the core knowledge versus like the EL curriculum. But I've never taught the core knowledge, and I haven't really taught the actual lessons like in the classroom. I've only looked through the EL to teach intervention.
And are we having true fidelity with EL since we are not a, what's the word I'm using, that network school? Are we getting what the intent of our original, goal was when we became a network?
Well, that's just we as a school didn't perform well enough, so. But we can still follow the model.
Okay. So my question is the model, what is different about this model that we need to use it or EL if we're still using the same modules that most schools are using without EL? Like, what is EL bringing to the table for our school that will warrant us to say, okay, yeah, let's continue with EL?
I don't think that we're at the point where we're talking about the part, like being with the partner. We're just talking about the curriculum.
But the curriculum is the modules, which is the Common Core module.
Right.
So why do we need EL to use the module, I guess is my question about curriculum.
And I think Cam's saying that EL is kind of separated, because in this case, EL would be the pedagogy and modules would be the curriculum, right?
So are we continuing with just the curriculum? And that's what it asks?
It's saying keep consistent curriculum. And so we need to.
Too much change.
Yeah.
I don't know what has changed in our curriculum.
So before you came in, I was saying that we were told that you needed to put down all of people's, whether it's a statement or a recommendation or a question. And so for us, we needed to write that down so that everybody's voices were heard. And then we need to determine whether or not is it going to be incorporated. It'll be incorporated but with some modifications, or just not incorporated at all into our SIG plan. And so we just started off with the first one and then saying be consistent with the curriculum. And Katie was saying that, you know, some of the feedback that she heard is that some of the staff like the core knowledge versus the
Skills block.
The thing with the skills block is, and I'm going to be very honest, in order to do one lesson, you have to go into 3 separate books in order to get the entire lesson, depending upon what it is. So like it could say, see resource manual, page 49. Then it would say, please go see the kindergarten module, blah, 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 for the lessons. And then here's the separate word list. So it's not all in one place. I know for me, normally what I do is I start with the word list, and then based off the word list, then I build the lessons and plan according to what the lessons say. But again, some teachers are having to go in like 3 different books depending upon what they're teaching.
So the big question is, are we incorporating this into our plan?
To me, this is just a statement. To me, it's just a statement. It's not a recommendation. So I just feel like, you know, not incorporated. You know, we already have a curriculum that we're following. I think we're spending a lot of time on something that's not really saying anything. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. I agree with that. I just didn't know what are we doing right now, because I missed that coming in.
We have to touch base on each one of the recommendations,
okay,
and determine whether or not we're incorporating them into our SIG.
Gotcha.
And so the first one that we're talking about is our goal 1 is talking about our curriculum and instruction, implementing the EL education curriculum. Because that's what, when we first wrote the SIG grant, we were talking about being an EL school following the EL curriculum with fidelity, okay?
So it's a statement, so we're not incorporating it.
Right.
All right.
So does everyone agree with that?
Makes sense.
All right, I'm gonna write not, and I can just go back later. Keep teachers in grade levels and don't move.
You mean don't move the teachers every year?
I'm assuming that's what.
I think that's some form of consistency.
Yeah.
You know, over the past 3 years I've taught. Every single grade.
Yeah, I like the consistency.
I mean, you can say, I think it's easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first special ed, we get moving all over.
And with so much district people being able to transfer in and out as they please, it's hard to keep a teacher in a grade level if he or she decides, okay, I'm transferring out, and now we get somebody new coming in.
But I guess the option is some consistency or no consistency. In some of the grade levels, you're right, you're going to have change. But if you can at least keep your core grades consistent as much as you can.
as you can, whatever is in our means.
And I think that's what we try to do.
Right.
So, I mean, there's gonna be a few people who,
So how do you put that, if that's what we try to do? Can you say incorporate? Even though we know we-
incorporate with modifications, you know?
Yep. I like that. Oh, those are the three things, incorporate modification, or not incorporate. Gotcha.
Now, all these statements came out of the last CET meeting or out of the receivership hearing?
It came out from the public hearing.
Okay.
Change this year allowed more books that students liked.
A statement. It's not asking us to do anything.
So, no. Change this year was opposite of above statement for sixth grade. No, not culturally connected on the book.
Well, likely. Okay. Thank you. That's like feedback. Or statement.
I think, and we'll see as you go down, and I wanted to make sure that we put everybody's statements in here, but there is some where we can like pull some of them and lump them together, like where they'll put culturally relevant curriculum. So we can do that, and then we can put like, ensure that books are culturally relevant for all students, or you know, something like that. So I don't even know, Brennan, do you know how to respond to just random statements?
No, I mean, that to me just looks like random statement. I don't know that you have to respond to everything.
But, okay. All right. So like this, I don't even have to really, okay.
I think
Yeah.
not applicable. I mean, there's no recommendation.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Students respond to trending connections in books. Okay, so sixth grade author has they're just basically saying same thing. So if we see something, because I know there's culturally competent important down here, so increased PD needed for teachers to own curriculum, more important than specific books and materials. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we should incorporate.
So I think we should incorporate. But, and our rationale is to increase instructional practices, right? Do we have to get specific, Brendan, like, oh, we will do summer and summer PEs?
I would make a
or-
note, but it doesn't have to get too far into the weeds. If there's ways you're specifically, if there's ways you're going to specifically address it, then just make a note of it.
So we're gonna offer summer PD and PD during the school year.
School year dash PD. I just making notes. Stability in teacher grade assignments also more important than specific book material. Somebody was on somebody.
That's similar to what you,
That was, yeah,
Yeah.
almost like the other one. Just worded differently.
Yeah, I think.
All right, so we can just kind of go, because we said we would incorporate with modifications, so
Same thing for that.
see above or yeah, but incorporate with mods. Planning time and support is needed. 80-minute planning at grade level, every week or every other.
Can you speak to that? I mean, what
They get
happens
more than
now?
80 minutes of planning time right now.
I wasn't in this group, so I don't know exactly what they meant by that, but there is, people get 150 minutes of planning a week.
That's what I thought, they had quite a bit of planning.
That's on them, but by contract.
EWA, we can make grade level planning.
Right, so why don't we just say we'll incorporate, and we'll just say EWA will specify specific
Planning requirements.
planning, yeah, requirements with grade level. Monthly vertical planning.
I like that.
I would do
And
put EWA, the one above it that we just wrote, where you still have your cursor, say monthly requirements with grade level and time scenarios, and then for monthly vertical planning, just write C above.
TAPD is needed with special ed focus on materials and standards.
Do that immediately. Say. How to incorporate it.
yeah, because they're gonna be included in the PD of only, right?
I don't think all TAs are required, as of right now, I don't think all TAs are required to go to PD, or they're required to go to separate PDs that are not related to special ed.
So will the EWA, Brennan?
It's only for RTA.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important because if you have a TA who's working specifically with a student, then they need to be, familiar with the material and the standards that they're working on with the current students.
We agree, but the thing that you run into is the different contracts. And so they're not obligated, and if you have not set monies aside to pay them, then that's been given to,
Can it just be stated that it can be offered?
they're always off.
I mean, it's so that when you send your report back, they know that
They have an option.
they have an option. You've given them the option.
Now, whether they,
Oh, most definitely. I always want the entire staff to stay, but they're like, oh, I'm off the clock, so.
So maybe we can just kind of figure out a way to let them know that there is,
Or some type of
they're
incentive.
getting, well, they'll be paid, this is a paid PD. Then if they don't want to stay, then it's up to them.
But that's the problem, because sometimes
they're not paid.
it may not be paid. We don't always know if we have the funds to pay, and that's the problem.
Funds aside ahead of time? Or some funds aside ahead of time?
We'll have to look into it and see if it's feasible.
I'm just figuring out a way to try to get them to go. Because some people are, there's a big difference between RTA pay and RAP pay, big difference. So I can understand why they may not stay. That reality is, that's reality. So if there is some money set aside, if they're able to go, you've given them the opportunity. Then if they decide they don't want to do it, they have no excuse to say why they couldn't.
What's your thought process?
My thought process is, Nike thought process,
Do it.
just do it. Because it's the best thing for kids. Like,
You've given them the
sometimes you
opportunity
got,
to do
yeah,
it.
and sometimes You just gotta have that.
Well, here's the mindset in that.
Shouldn't be looking
No,
for
the
something
mindset
tangible all
for
the time.
us is like, if we saw people who had the initiative to come without, regardless, hands down saying, I'm only coming if I get paid,
Right.
you know, we would find money for you. But it's mind blowing when people are like, I'm only coming if I get paid. That means to me, you're not in it for the kids.
Right, I'm only coming because I'm getting paid.
Well, that's reality for some people.
Yeah.
But you can't really beat, this is me, you cannot work with kids if you are in it solely for money. You just can't. Because as a parent, I mean, you can't just love your kids just because they're gonna put you in situations that you never even thought about. And it's the same with these kids. I never thought that I would be spending hundreds of dollars, even sometimes some years thousands of dollars. But you know what? If it's going to help them, then that's what it is.
And you know, and while you make a valid point, but because I'm sitting here representing RAP, you know, I go back to what Mrs. Carmen said, that you know, oftentimes a lot of our staff have small kids, and when they're not being compensated, it's not that their heart is not in it. Reality is reality. You know, just me speaking for myself, which it doesn't affect me now. However, I sit at the restorative practice meeting, all the meetings, and I don't get compensated. And I've had discussion after discussion.
Is it during the regular workout?
Huh? No, we are here before work hours. It's before the workout, my workout. And so.
On the Mondays.
Mm-hmm. And so while I say that is because I'm committed and I have an opportunity, because I don't have small kids, but you know, some of the others that's on the team don't show up because they have those other obligations, and I'm just putting it out there.
Like, money never crossed my mind. My concern was, and always has been, I think always will be, the needs of the population of students that I have been required to provide a service to in some shape, form, or fashion. And in providing that service, my mindset has always been, somehow I'll be rewarded in the end. And I can truly say I have, and I'm not going to preach to y'all today. But I just feel as though we always have this issue that comes up about money. And whether it be they need it or they only come because they're going to get paid or get something extra, should not be the mindset if you are truly here to make sure that kids get what they need to be successful. That's just me preaching. And I said I wasn't going to preach. But we'll provide something for...
What do you call it? Is it
a stipend?
Stipend. Additional. We'll have to word it differently.
Maybe that's something that I can talk to the union about, because parents do dues, and you know, I know they started doing their own in-service training for parents, and so maybe that's something that the unions need to have a conversation with, because we have more than one school that's in need of improvement.
And TAs are crucial in classrooms.
Really.
Okay, so culturally, because we've got 6 pages of this that we got to get through, so I don't want to cut conversations, but culturally competent, important.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. I don't know how we're supposed to incorporate that.
That's just a couple of words next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone should be able to articulate how our school is committed to culturally competence and what we do that is culturally competent.
As far as, are you talking about the culture, the instruction, our curriculum, like?
And I don't know, should we might need to put this on hold and wait until, because this was Mary Adams, and Courtney, that was their table. And we can get more clarification.
Clarification on what, instruction?
This was on the curriculum.
On curriculum. So those are all referring to that the curriculum should be culturally responsive or competent.
Initially, Mary was
But-
going to be here, but she sent it.
But if we have a set curriculum that we said we want to continue to incorporate, then that doesn't align with the curriculum that we have already.
But we could also say we can infuse, like, so even though we're following
So
like
then we
the
will-
guidelines, we can use books that
So
are,
incorporate with modifications.
yeah, we
Okay.
could. Mhm.
All right, so
Because we're not a network school, so we can use whatever books we want to use.
all right, so let's incorporate with modifications.
On which one, because these statements are,
I would say probably.
this one right here? This- Or this
No, the up one above.
culturally competent,
No, that one don't even matter. The second, that next one, right there.
this one? Everyone should be able to articulate how our school is committed to cultural competence.
And yet that, how are they able to articulate? By talking about the curriculum that we're using, where we're infusing other texts that are culturally relevant. Parents share the good experiences and also see low-level ignorance about history and basic knowledge, which does not match up. Cause parents to feel pride and
And I know it may be a kind of off the cuff question, but when they say everyone, is that inclusive of community as well as the families, or to understand exactly what our curriculum is?
I'm assuming so.
Okay.
Right there next to me, right?
It's all right, it's late.
And I got a camera staring at my face.
Yeah, we'll record it for posterity. I can't spell my way out of a wet paper bag, so I won't be the one to point it out.
Parents should have a good experience. Did you read that one already? Experience with DWC, but also sees low-level ignorance about history and basic knowledge, which does not match up, causes parents to feel pride and then disappointment, and missteps such as celebrating Columbus behind in what is common knowledge. That's the statement. Thank you. Standards are for all students, requires better tiering and differentiation. So they want us to do a better job of differentiating.
We'll incorporate
Yeah, we're going.
as well as tiering of the standards, so they'll know how to break it down. And the differentiated instruction.
Okay. Have been limited in PD for differentiation in recent years, no time for it.
They offer tons, so I don't know where that statement came from. They offer a lot of PD on differentiated instruction.
I
It's
know,
all housed in the same spot, True North Logic.
unless they talk with,
Unless the teachers or somebody is saying that they don't have time for it.
that's what I'm saying, I need clarification. Are they saying that unless we're not delivering it here on site on those Wednesdays?
So we need to incorporate it on Wednesdays.
I don't understand because when I write my own lessons, even within a very small group, I differentiate for the students' needs, not based on.
And even the curriculum provides opportunities for teachers to differentiate. It's written right in the curriculum now.
You know what differentiation is, President?
I'm just looking at this and just lost. I'm just lost at everything.
How would you explain
We
that?
haven't gotten to your
One
part.
sentence.
Your part yet.
It's just basically how would you make a lesson
That meets the
meets
needs
the
of all
needs of
students.
all students?
So like I could have a student who was reading at like a level A, but then I could also have a student who's reading at a level L. How am I going to meet the needs of both of them?
So that
They
means
don't
you
know what
have
an
to
E and an L is.
So that means you gotta differentiate, differ.
Feedback. So that's something that they're looking, that we need to give more student feedback. And I agree that we do need to give more student feedback, but we need to be really specific on how and what type of feedback, because you can give a child feedback with just red marker and just, or,
It's not beneficial.
yeah, and are you specific about what is it that they need to work on? So I think we need to incorporate, but we also need to provide feedback.
Start feedback.
Do teachers and how know?
Timely, accurate, and respectful.
I was gonna say to teachers never really good feedback. I mean,
That's why I said start feedback, but it's specific, timely, accurate, and respectful.
We've had PDs, but I think it's something that needs to be consistent.
More play-based instruction incorporated. Oh, well, that's my opinion.
So,
And when I say play-based, I mean, it can't be stand and deliver type of instruction. It has to be more engaging and exciting and uplifting. It can't be dry and abstract. And so when I think of play, I think of stage because I like acting and drama. And so when I'm teaching, it's like dramatized so that I capture my audience attention and they are in tune to what I'm saying to them and some of the things that I'm doing up here on my little stage here. So I don't think of play as, okay, we're gonna be playing this game all the time, or we're gonna be, but a way to get the students engaged.
What about like inquiry based?
That's play, yep.
Okay, so basically.
but I think the person that wrote this was talking specifically about movement, like brain-based, well, not brain-based, but getting up and doing the.
Kinesthetic learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's movement.
Mhm.
Can we put our little feedback thing in there?
We
and
can
say
do
what we
incorporate
need?
with modifications.
Modifications.
And what do we want to say? Does everyone agree with that? That we need to make sure.
So inquiry-based, movement
Mhm.
and drama.
We get a lot of drama.
Yeah. May get more than you
Yes.
want.
Kids are tuned to drama though. You ask them about anything that's going on in the school that's drama related, they can spill it out, like, how do you incorporate not drama like bad stuff drama, but the drama arts into it where they're able to now retell you what has happened during the Civil War or something.
So it's action-based.
Action.
Anything with movement, I'm all about it.
That's why I
Except for exercise. But, so, inquiry-based, action-based.
All right.
Too much writing time.
What?
Not enough.
I know.
It's not enough.
I think it needs to be specific, like as we're talking during our instruction-based, it needs to be specified what type of writing, and it has to have meaning. It can't just be.
So it's, right here it says too much writing time, but if we go down, it says dedicated writing time.
Yeah, I like that.
Writer's workshop
Yeah.
type, so,
So that would be the dedicated and specific.
yep. So I like, everybody agree with that?
Incorporate that.
Brittany, you're awfully quiet over there.
Snacks behind you, if you want to stay awake.
No, I've got it.
Incorporate, so we said specific,
Specific and, specific and meaningful.
Gotta have a specific focus.
Yes.
Or focus. All right, so for the other one, what are we putting for too much writing?
That's the
NA.
I think that's just.
That's just,
More physical activity for students.
they get enough physical activity.
NA, because we just said we're gonna, or put C above, inquiry-based action. I don't know if we want to. Okay. Consistency, K through 6. What is consistency?
Consistency of what? Like that's crazy. Like I wanted to just delete.
Is this part of teaching? And is this part of
Instruction.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's your job to interpret it, you know?
So just put NA, no, NA.
Or we just say don't incorporate.
I would say don't incorporate because it needs more context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full 30 minutes of
Is that what the thing says? Don't incorporate or
not incorporate?
not incorporate? Full 30 minutes of recess.
Incorporate with modifications.
I'm getting up 30
No,
minutes.
sure enough. Sorry.
Oops. Forget you are.
Does you know the same videos?
Pardon me? I'll be a videotape. Oh, I love the camera. I'm gonna always be dead.
We said-
dedicated. You cover it with mods.
I'll go back and change.
30 minutes can be 10 minutes.
Could it
Or we
be-
might do it to 20.
But what if you did math and movement, would that considered?
Yeah.
Would that be considered? So,
Well, we had the conversation where at least 20 minutes
needs to be,
Just physical activity.
physical activity.
No brain work
Yeah,
with
not-
content. Might be brain work with learning how to play a game.
And that's for the whole day.
30 minutes.
I mean,
20
that 20 minutes would be for the
whole day.
Whole day.
20 minutes each day.
Yeah. But it's also part of the district expectation.
Right, that's required.
Well, here's the thing, I mean, I'm thinking of when I was a kid growing up, you know, we had recess time and that's it, you know, and that did us, and we learned. And so, you know, kids just got to do what they need to do to get where they want to go. And we have not evolved that much that you can't sit down and learn after having that extra time, you know, to think we make a little bit too much of what kids are really exposed back in the day. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
All right, dedicate science time. More time for science, yep. I'm agreeing with that.
I agree with that as well, especially since teachers are being graded based off all the science scores. So K through 6 or K through 8 are judged on science. So I think as a school, we need to think about how are we growing our kids scientifically. And plus, that is also one of Dr. Cooper's wish. She wants them to know the scientific methodology. And so I think if we think of like a plan, and that could be something that our curriculum team can work on, is
So incorporate
scaffolding. Yeah.
with public modification.
You trying to shut me up? Science materials for all classroom.
Incorporate. And what comprehension-based intervention? Yeah, school by intervention. I don't know what comprehension-based intervention is. So we can
So we'll do it's incorporated with mods.
I would say just incorporate. You already have to use the intervention.
So so the rationale is
I would just,
currently utilizing,
I would say continue to utilize.
continue to utilize intervention teachers.
SIG provided intervention.
Intervention.
prevention.
Intervention prevention teachers. There's 2 of them in your grade.
You ain't the only intervention. Stick with one math program. Modules might be overwhelming for our population. We only have one math. What are you talking about?
And how are modules overwhelming for our population?
Oh, you know what? They doing that guided math, I think. But the guided math is not a program.
And it's watered way down, so there's really no challenge. So because it's too overwhelming for teachers, they figure it's going to be too overwhelming for students. So they would much rather use the watered down guided math instead of modules. Not going to happen.
I know for me, like Angie and I, she's been doing the modules actually the last module we've been doing. But for my kids specifically, I pick and choose what problems I want them to do out of the module. So I differentiate it based off of what's in the module.
Which is part of a good first teaching break. So we will
Incorporate. I mean, we're doing.
incorporate.
I don't know what to like. Why is this so hard?
We will incorporate and then we'll continue to utilize
Oh, you think you got this now, huh?
Yeah, right, from our modules, because it provides more rigor.
Yeah.
It's the people that put this down, you don't know their thought pattern.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a big piece of it.
You know, that, what was they thinking when they wrote that?
New York State.
The Common Core modules.
Can we say differentiate based on the student's needs? I'm just
Okay,
saying.
You
differentiate.
differentiate the curriculum, but you wouldn't necessarily change the curriculum.
No, I'm not
Right.
changing the curriculum, I'm just.
What has changed recently here? There was some talk about the Common Core not being, that they were switching to something more.
There's
That's the
Standards
se-
to next generation.
But they
Okay.
haven't implemented those yet.
They haven't implemented those yet, so you're still working on the Common Core?
Yep.
Okay.
More consistency from class to class. I think,
Around what, instruction or?
well, we're talking about instruction, so I'm assuming, but we should,
That's
hard to do.
That's
Like, we don't
teaching
have,
style.
any- yeah, we don't have no control over
Yeah.
the teacher's teaching style.
but I guess there's not enough context to kind of talk about, are they
Yeah.
talking more about the delivery, or are they talking about the,
I think you could say you're going to incorporate it and address that through professional development. It's kind of broad, but what you're saying is that we're going to develop the staff to be more cohesive, or address through
Cohesive
common
with
planning
what?
time. Well, that's what I'm saying, it's very broad, so you could even say you're going to meet that with the statement on common planning time and content, right? So if you're meeting for any reason, you are becoming more aligned, so it could be addressing that. But again, that's really wide open.
Right, but I don't know. What do they want us to be more consistent with? If it was a little more clear cut.
And, yeah,
So that means we're gonna have to make it clear cut.
you don't have to make it.
But should you make it clear cut? I'm just thinking, just as a person going into the class, from time to time, and if I use Ms. Geisha as a point of reference, her class is much different than another person, it's her style. So you
Well, much
cannot,
different how? What do you mean much different?
she's on task. She's on task where
So hers is more structured.
where you find some other teacher may, they may be a little more relaxed and kids is sometimes up walking around and what
Which is
have
fine, as long as the learning is taking place. And that's what the problem is with the different teaching styles. Because I use myself and Ms. Hale. And we talk, like, although we were both great teachers, you walk into Ms. Hale's class, it was this, you walk into my class, the kids are moving here, moving there, but the learning was happening. And it showed at the end of the year because sixth grade was, this class, only grade rocking and rolling. But our styles were totally different. And so from the outside looking in a class that's busy and a lot of movement going on, to somebody on the outside looking in, it looked like total chaos is happening. Where in actual reality, the students are engaged with each other and having these conversations and doing different things, and learning is happening. And so when you say, let's be more consistent, you have no control over that, because it goes by how that teacher teaches and how she get her students to learn, or he get his students to learn.
And some kids actually need that
Movement.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
to get that extra energy out.
And to keep from falling asleep. Like,
So I just
like in
think
two classes that we know, kids just fall asleep.
if you have to, no matter what they're doing, they have to be engaged, no matter how they're moving the learning needs to take place, and I think that's kind of a broad statement, you know.
Is there too much testing? Does it take up too much time? Oh my God.
That's the question. I'm supposed to answer that.
Yes. Just let that one go.
Yeah.
Parents should know where their students are. Yeah.
Or, I think we
But it
might-
should, I don't like the way, like when I looked at, and this is, I'm talking to Brennan, but like when I looked at other people's forms, their comments don't look so vague. It's like it was,
It could be on us, but we weren't specific enough to let them know we need statements that have some meaning behind it. Okay? And we should have gave them examples of what not to give us.
yeah.
So,
So when we do this again,
we're not doing this again.
What did you mean when you said it?
It's a learning experience for us.
so
For the next one, just write agreed.
Maybe email is not working. Yes, agree. So we're gonna incorporate, I think we need to include, in there,
setting goals, right?
with students, setting goals with students, and 5-week progress monitoring reports. Progress report monitoring. So they go home before the report card comes, so parents know in advance where your students are. They got 5 weeks.
But then we're also doing student-led conferences.
And continue with those.
And actually, those things need to take place. So many parents don't do student-led conferences. Some parents go all year without having conversations with teachers. They, at the end of the year, asking me, I get my child's report card. It seems to be some, not all, but some lax with just like, communication with, things going on. So, it happens, don't like to think about it, but it does happen.
Evidence-based practices. That's part of incorporating the best practices for instruction. Because this is one of our overarching focus for next year is going to be how do we improve good first teaching. So we're going to need to know what's working. So how
But it just seems so random. Evidence-based practices, like.
around what?
Exactly. So that's where I'm like,
Get in and let's keep it moving.
we can't put in there for everything, can we? Or not incorporate it.
That's not even a sentence.
Yeah. We don't know what to do with that.
I don't agree with spending any time on it.
Well, tell me to push it. Just say not incorporate, push it. Help me out. I'm the most indecisive person.
Developmentally appropriate literacy programs. Look it up. Like, why do we need to?
We need appropriate activities.
What kind of activities? That's part of student engagement up top.
I put C above discussion.
Yeah.
Just write that.
Regarding student engagement.
That's it.
Specific with me. Where are you saying in here? I
Yeah,
put
right there.
C above.
Right there for reading appropriate activities, right, C above discussions.
This too, or I'm good with this.
Just leave those, yeah.
Okay. Parental involvement. What can they do? We need to do it together. think to me, it would be more like involve them in the setting of the goals and with the student-led conferences and stuff. But I mean, that's just me assuming, you know?
I would just say incorporate and increase opportunities for parent involvement.
Oh, that's good. And just to piggyback.
Increase more.
Can you hear? You're a good enough to, you can come here.
Just
Because I
increase
have-
opportunity for parent involvement, no that be specific.
Yeah, that just,
So all they need to know.
You know, I can't multitask too much. Screen time during the school day, does this support?
NA.
Culturally competent.
They already talked about that.
See above. How we talk to each other, how we interact.
but incorporate, and I put,
Restorative.
I would put increase, student social emotional development, development.
You said student, social.
Support.
Yeah, you're supposed to support. Support and development.
And development.
Yeah, because you got some kids going to a conference, right? Don't this year?
I don't know, if students go to that conference.
I think it's
That's
not.
conference.
That restorative one?
Oh, that's
No,
you.
I emailed you. So
Number one.
I know, I got you.
Right.
No, the one on Saturday at the convention center in April.
That
That
$50 one?
$45.
Um,
I put you on. You're the sort of team.
I
I don't
got
know
a
why you
date.
haven't signed up yet.
Oh,
I got a date. That's baby night.
Carbon at Cam and April 27th. It's a Saturday at the convention center.
John, we a mess, so.
Breakfast and lunch. And Carmen, while they're off task, can you tell me our school fax number?
464
464.
6101.
You don't know that right now?
No, I don't use the district to fax stuff.
It's 2019. Really fast.
Culture infused in our instruction. We're gonna incorporate that. Right?
Culturally infused. Yeah, we already said that. See above.
For
See above.
above.
Grade level protocols
Outside
for common plan. We already did that. See
Yep.
above. Interviews for all staff. Even the ones we already have presently that we know we keep it.
We don't have to set this. We can incorporate.
With mods. Incorporate with mods.
It's all like just redundant.
And over there we can put EWA. Something with EWA.
And exempt status, we can expel. Dedicated planning time each week.
Incorporates the above.
Yeah, we're already doing that. Directed at all the student level and data driven. What is directed? What's directed?
Mhm.
I mean, it should be data driven.
Yeah.
Directed at instruction should be directed at student level and data driven.
Incorporate with mods.
It should.
Yeah.
Do first teaching.
Yeah, see above. Do a first teacher. Yeah, put that in there. See above. Like, see water.
I know.
Somewhere up there.
Fine, whichever one works. Okay, 10 to 5 is, this is dealing with school climate. Oops, sorry. And so this is where we were talking about our Cooper Code, our morning meetings, the attendance, suspensions, also restorative practice we've been using. So because
And this was I wrote everything on that.
oh good, so you can decipher for us.
Yeah, because United Front was basically literally everyone being on the same page, parents, teachers.
How do we incorporate that?
So like restorative practice, are we all on the same page? Are we?
So being on the same page with different entities of our school.
Yeah. So like making sure that like if we are implementing restorative practice, that we're all on the same page. And we're not just saying, okay, I'm going to do restorative practice, but
How do you have control over that?
you don't really have control over it.
So how do we incorporate something we don't have control of? Like, because people front all the time where they'll say, you know, yeah, I'm down for the school or whatever, but we hear every day somebody saying something or get back to us where this has happened and somebody went behind your back and did like, so to say we all a united front, what does that look like? What does that look like? And how do we make sure it's happening?
Maybe it's not a united front, but maybe it's like a belief or a practice. You know, we agree to certain agreement to certain practice. To
That EWA agreement would be what everybody would be on the same
This
page.
is like total buy-in, like we have to have total buy-in for the
well, I think it's
Common agreements / norms.
with norms.
No, it could either be called our common agreements / or norms, or our common norms. Which is going to come through our EWA.
Well, I don't want them to think that we don't have it. I mean, it will be.
So put a word continue in front of common. Continue to utilize. Can take agreements out since we don't currently have agreements, our common norms. And then you don't have to add something, change that other part that says,
will be developed through our EWA.
we're gonna develop it. We're gonna have to develop.
Further developed.
Further develop.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Carmen, you quiet over there.
I'm gonna say, shoot, she done checked out. It's Friday at 5:20.
I'm trying to find the registration for the rock restorative practice.
It's right here.
I have the flyer, but there are like 5 different, but none of them are for April.
I wonder if we gotta sign up on them.
Y'all are way off track,
Yeah,
and we got a lot to do.
I was in my lane here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I took you
I'm
out.
with you, but I'm.
Let me know if we can bring students if you get a chance.
Well,
Yes, I
Aria
can see
did
that.
say that she would pay for any union except RTA, because RTA's union provides.
Reimburses.
Right, so that would mean that yes, be a yes to me. If she's gonna pay for any other union, that would be RAC, that would be Bente.
Yeah.
Then RTA gets paid by you.
And that means Brandon, you wanna go?
Yeah, they start paying
Breakfast
us?
and lunch.
Huh?
They start paying us?
No, we don't get paid.
We don't get paid. They just don't pay
See,
rent.
they get Brandon's
See,
son, right?
see,
That's what we're talking about.
anything, that's what I'm strike that from the record.
Okay, teacher change to meet students' need. What?
It's supposed to be needs, not needs.
Teacher change?
I did not raise.
What do you mean teacher change? How does that make students need the teacher change?
So I think understanding where the student's coming from before the teacher automatically.
So this is all on the PD? Some type of professional development or training
I would say professional development.
is needed for what?
I would put incorporated and then just put professional PD plan.
We'll look at it at our PD plan.
Oh, incorporating PD, right?
Yeah. Implicit bias training. Everybody learning this word this year.
You started.
Incorporate.
I think we
Incorporate
still
the
need.
PD plan. Yeah, we still need
Please,
PD
what?
plan.
See above.
Knowledge, practice, skills.
What does that mean?
I don't know, because I didn't write anything like that.
Any
Camaron must have transposed
What?
crazy.
knowledge, practice, skills.
Knowledge, practice, skills.
I'd put a bunch of, I would make the next couple of those, because they all seem like things that should just fit right in your PD plan.
Yep.
And I would just,
Not teach to the test. That should be in it. Advocacy for parent and students. And what is this under? What tenant is this under?
School climate.
It's a school climate.
Advocacy.
Does that sound like something?
So the advocacy, I'm trying to jog my memory from.
The why about.
So I'm thinking advocacy as far as like, for parents who might need more support for understanding what their like climate in the school.
Like incorporated. PTO.
Parent liaison, we want to keep my job.
So like, I think advocacy, okay, no, that was mainly for like parents who didn't understand possibly like special ed
Or some policies.
or some policies
The
or procedures
homeschooling.
or what was the underlying cause of, or not the underlying cause, but how our school,
How things operate.
yes, thank you.
So that would be like,
So that's
training.
just, incorporated.
Yeah.
What is our parent PD training called now? So that we can continue those workshops.
Workshop.
Continue parent workshops.
But why is about how we do things? PD plan, right?
Well, for parents though, right?
No, this is school climate.
And put,
We have a whole nother section for parents.
and
This-
put continue up here, because we already do parent workshops.
there you go.
What is that? The why about how we do things. As far as what, school climate,
Would that be your norms?
attendance,
We have
our protocols.
protocols, like
Yeah.
send out the parent form
So-
at the beginning of the year, right?
A handbook.
The handbook.
And we got a staff handbook. So incorporate, continue, parent and staff handbook. What does school look like? Look like a dirty Marshall building?
I put that in for that.
And then,
Yeah, it is.
How are we interacting with students and staff?
incorporate C above.
Yeah, let's see what we already have for that.
What's VMO? That's that stuff that lady bought. The Victoria's Mind
Mind
Academy. Inappropriate.
That's not a thing, and again,
Right.
We're
it's a
not,
fragment of a thought. I don't
Right.
know.
yeah, that's,
We're not doing BMA, are we?
No.
Put
NA.
NA, or not.
Not appropriate, yeah.
No, we don't have that.
those things just be jumping over.
Student with disability high.
Got it.
Well, what name is moving?
It's 3 letters in a word.
Right.
We're ignoring that
NA. Like, okay.
What was that?
So they said there was a high students with disability population within our school, and I was like, well, I want to keep my job, so.
But they say according to, we
What's the
don't have a high
percentage?
population of.
Yeah.
That was a parent who was saying that.
How does she know?
How you know it's a she?
I know.
one. Where are we at?
We have 75,
Out of,
362,
65.
65,
So it was like
okay,
20%.
20% of our population.
which is 20% of the district population. So we're good. NA.
NA.
Boys to girl ratio is mentioned in the active curriculum. I don't know where the active curriculum came from, but the boys to girl ratio meaning do we suspend more boys to girls? And that was also another parent comment.
Yes.
We only had one suspension this year.
Yeah, and it was a boy.
And to be honest with you, that was the only really boy problem we've had. All the others have been girls.
NA.
That's who show up in the office every day.
Training for parents, we just covering.
They list them off.
What we say incorporate, but
We already listed, as we see above.
yeah. Positive phone calls.
Like we already have teachers who phone call, who call home and give positive reports. Like we tell them.
Or teachers will send home, a daily thing.
Logs, yeah,
It depends on whether or not the parent decides to look at it. And
Mhm.
if that parent then says, well, I only get, phone calls home, well, do you look at your child's stuff every single day that just says that they had a good day?
Or
So I mean, if there's something that we already do,
yeah.
I mean, we already do this.
So-
So do we just say incorporate, continue with?
Yep. Rock and roll. Revisit what it takes to have a warm, welcoming, and safe school. Incorporate and continue with our rock restorative.
Can you guys choose that as the next one?
Chronic act. The two who was there trying to bum rush
Just take-
Ulliman.
No, it was a parent.
I know it was.
Yeah.
I know the two who was bum rushing.
But what are we supposed to, what is that, what are we supposed to do with it?
Okay, thank you for the feedback.
Well.
That's NA though. I mean, like,
It could be incorporate, but continue because we already do home.
But what are we incorporating?
What's that home, like the tutoring of a home hospital tutoring? If there's a medical issue that causes something, but, the parent has to do their
But
part.
what is the
too.
purpose of them putting this statement? Is it
Yeah.
but I don't see how it's helping us with our school
culture?
climate and stuff,
And
and
that's
helping us
probably
with
one out of the whole
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, what pertains to
not
one person
incorporate.
doesn't
Not
include
incorporate.
the full population.
No.
That was one.
Busing issues.
So bus.
That's incorporated because we continue to handle those on a daily basis. As
I
they
don't
come
know
up.
there was
I think that this is regarding like the whole absenteeism and busing issues. So
Yes.
like Liliana, who she couldn't be picked up because there was a busing issue and she was absent for more than 10 days.
But it's the parent's
Well,
responsibility to
Yeah,
get the
but
child.
that's what the busing issue is.
Yeah.
They're not talking about behavioral
No.
busing issues. They're talking about
It
chronic
was
absenteeism.
the
busing issues.
district's policy regarding transportation, when a child is not picked up, or when the bus driver just drives off and the child is left, and doesn't have a way to get to school. That was a conversation that was had.
Why is the child left?
Because the child wasn't outside 5 minutes prior to the bus pickup time, which is district.
So that's the parent
Required.
responsibility.
Exactly.
The child's school.
Exactly. Or to be outside 5 minutes before the bus
Do
gets
they,
there.
do they have to do anything?
Exactly.
Make them walk.
I had
Tough
to walk
love.
3
Well,
miles
it's a conversation.
barefoot.
Uphill both ways.
I had to walk 800
Get
feet.
out.
My driveway was 800 feet long, and I had to walk, yeah. I
Oh,
know.
forgot you was
We are not about to enable parents. No.
One thing that I sent you a note today, Cameron. The 19th Ward Schools Committee and the Education Committee have been working hard trying to get the state reimbursement formula changed so that the city could bus kids any distance rather than just more than a mile and a half. Because what we're seeing and from feedback is that a lot of people are picking a school that's a mile and a half away because they really would like to put their child on a bus. And that really destroys neighborhood schools in the district. And it keeps parents from getting as involved with the school as they could. So anything you can do to spread the word about this, the website we've got, it's Change It website, and we're up to about 340, 350 signatures so far, but we really should be getting 1,000 or more to really start.
Change.org for a petition.
Yeah. So this is that's got the email, the website, but this is something that, you know, kind of ties into the question of busing and trying to make sure if you're 3 blocks away from the school you're going to and you miss the bus, you can walk if you have to, you know. Even if it is one of those nasty cold days in the winter. And also if you've got a lot of kids in the neighborhood that are attending that school, then you can start having walking school buses because you've got a concentration that's dense enough for somebody to have it be worth their while to walk to 10 houses and pick up 10 kids.
Or if they go back to neighborhood schools, you got tons of kids in the community getting to the school at the same time, so that nobody feel as though they got to walk to school by themselves or be left out. You got more, you got more close-knit community then, and you got fewer obese kids.
That's right.
Because now they got to get out and get some movement in. That's part of their movement to school.
Yeah, ideally you'd like them walking when possible, but unfortunately, given the situation we've got, you have to bus them before you can walk them.
Only need to be bused. It's K through 2. The rest of them need to know their communities.
And the problem is that they'll be like their older siblings aren't getting love. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it. Unstable housing is an issue.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess my thing is, do we have a plan to support that? You know, does our school improvement plan support
Unstable house.
like homelessness or anything like that?
Does,
And then the social work provides the resources like the Catholic Family Centers and things like that. Or incorporate and continue to provide parents with support and resources.
just
We've been,
Yeah,
that's
the
our
district,
big
I think the
issue.
district, you're right, the district provides that service. I don't know that we have to reinvent their wheel.
No,
Right.
we
have enough on our plate.
11 parents that
Yeah, some of that is something that perhaps the city should get more involved with, because I know that Ralph Spezia, when he was at 17, he was working with the city so that they could recommend places for parents who got kicked out of one address to go to another.
For the district?
I hear from him periodically. He's kind of shows up at meetings here and there, but I think he's
I think we need to elaborate a little bit.
retired for the umpteenth
I used
time.
to
But,
work for a couple years ago.
oh,
Years
he's
ago.
an interesting guy.
Yeah.
he used to pick his own
Missing
missing.
their buses, students missing their
Yeah.
buses.
Go to the college and sit in rooms.
Spezia did a lot with
Lead.
the lead, you know?
Yeah.
And the dental
And,
clinic.
yeah.
Value of seat time versus education.
I don't know what
That
That means,
I would say it's more of like a
Statement.
so
state turnover commitment, that's about the teacher consistency, incorporate, see above. More training for restorative practice, yeah, we incorporate. See above, I think I already mentioned something about the team that I restorative. Training for support staff, what support staff? Getting TAs up front, I don't know what others.
But I think that's something that we're always conscious of, so we
Yeah.
improve.
Continue.
Focus on 1 to 2 social emotional partnerships. What's that mean?
So basically, do we have too many things going on? So, like we have restorative practices, we have the child health, we have stuff that's going on through the Greater Rochester Health Foundation. So basically, trying to minimize the amount of, not partnerships, but really only sticking with like maybe 1 or 2 social emotional partnerships.
Why?
We are small.
We only
Take
have
us
really
to
one
one.
social emotional partnership, which is Center for Youth.
I think that restorative practice, that,
Yeah,
whole
that's
child
not-
health.
Whole Child Health is under the
Greater
Greater
Rochester.
Rochester, and so, and then,
Yeah, how does that do, how does Whole Child Health right now impact our student social emotional health? Like, what do we use from Whole Child Health that impacts it?
they really haven't gotten off the ground.
Right.
To me.
And we haven't even implemented it with any of the teachers.
Right.
It's literally just in the planning process right now still. So I would,
So right
I
now
would
we
think
just
NA, because I mean,
Yeah.
honestly,
So
Yeah, the only
what-
ones we, Center for Youth and
And
Restorative.
that's it, there's those two.
And partnerships, well, you're in partnership, but I mean,
Staff turnover, we just talked about staff turnover.
I guess it's a big issue.
See above,
Yeah.
cultural responsive, see above.
And so now the next one we're going into
Is
is.
the last one?
This is the last one. Is
Ooh,
with,
it's short.
with the parent involvements, and we felt like the parent involvement was dealing with all of them. So the curriculum, the instruction, and also the school climate. So more support community resources, childcare. So I think with the, I'm not sure what they exactly were talking about, but so I don't know if they're talking like at PTO meetings, childcare.
Childcare.
So-
Also, we're having resources out there for parents who is in need of
Childcare.
Childcare. You know.
We'll continue, up top, we said we'll continue to provide them with resources.
And also,
So that's the most we can do. We can't,
Can't take them to the morning.
right, or be like, okay, we got this daycare, we're gonna get you signed up with it.
We can't care for them.
Right.
but one of the things that I was thinking, like at our meetings, we could, with the Title I money, is probably put funds aside to pay for someone to sit and do activities with the children while you have PTO.
And we could, or we could delegate, we could call central office as well, and get somebody from parent engagement office to come and support us as well. So that's two options that is available to us. Both options is available.
Different tables set up at meetings with resources.
Is that like community resources available when we're having meetings? What type of meetings?
I'm not sure who would do that now. Airport's taking minutes.
Or we just want to have resources readily available whenever parents come to the building? We already have that in the office.
We already have that in the office, and I have some now in my
So-
office, so.
Incorporate, see above, or continue to
If you do that, correct.
transportation to new location, efficient for parents, bus passes and cars.
We do bus passes already.
We already have that. All they got to do is come and see us.
Okay, so we're gonna continue. Community school or citywide school, neighborhood
Neighborhood
school.
schools, neighborhood schools. Well, we can't incorporate that, like that ain't on us, is it?
Yeah, that's more district, the district has to, the only thing that we could put a recommendation for to be a community school, but one of the things that they did say, that even though because we're citywide, you can still be a community school, but that doesn't mean that because you're a community school that you become a neighborhood school. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So that we would have community, like the resources for, like whether we have a medical center or something in there, it would just be for the community. It's not necessarily for
The neighborhood.
well, it's for the neighborhood, but it's not necessarily for just the children at our school.
Like 17.
Yeah.
Correct. But their kids are more neighborhood.
Right.
So,
Now, right now, your citywide draw, but there, I think the plan was to have it go back to zones to try to have, expeditionary learning schools in each of the zones and get back to at least a zone-wide enrollment or busing.
So they're going back to Dr. James' proposal.
I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Yeah, things have. I spent a summer with Elizabeth Hallmark they had managed school choice meetings for to try to redefine, see what changes should be made to manage school choice. And after we met for 6 months, every other week or something like that, and then the new superintendent came in, And she decided to go back to ground zero and get input from everybody else. But there was a strong sentiment coming out of that task force that we should be getting back as much as possible.
Fantastic. What folks are meet and greet, that was during the day, and both was fantastic. So I think
it's a toss-up. I think during the day to have more activities, I think it would cause more interruption to the instruction time. Having something in the evening for parents to come to might be,
So
in my
I think
opinion, a better option.
because
maybe we just do incorporate with mods,
Yeah.
because each event will be considered separately.
That makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
it's now like we are planning for April. We have not really publicized it yet, but we are planning a art show. On the 24th and 25th of April.
Which I think is a good evening event.
So please make sure.
So they want more partnership, example churches help with transportation.
Is that a suggestion? I don't know if we can do that.
I mean, we can always get more partnership, but then it's just more things that you have to manage.
Yeah.
So,
Names,
It's more like a statement.
yeah, like a wish list.
yeah. Pediatric development expert on screen time video game. You know that was Dr.
Dr.
Cooper.
Cooper. I know with all certainty that was Dr. Cooper.
But what does he want with that? A PD or something like that? So we could do that
For the doctor to come in and talk to parents about the development of kids.
So we can incorporate.
So I'm gonna make sure that happens.
Yeah. You gotta give Dr. Cooper whatever he wants.
PD plan. You know we can't say no to him.
No, we can't.
I'm gonna have him to bring his friend in.
Town hall. When has the school done a town hall?
Yeah, that was quite the controversy, and which I
But we do that, so we're gonna incorporate.
And continue what we do. Because we don't call it town hall, but we do have, and I explain the parents that make that suggestion.
Right. Teachers to come to more family event. We can incorporate that from the community in our
We talked about that.
Put in EWA. That's an employee work agreement. Monthly events, some fun, some academic. So they want some,
That's doable.
so we can
We
incorporate,
can incorporate the more, because we do some funding.
continue to, increase, I don't know, and continue to, these are the